And you may walk a lonely road, but you will never walk.
The Tarzino Trophy. All in. Stand by. Racing. Melody Bell in front. High Flyer comes after it. Our Aberdeen over on the inside. Melody Bell, High Flyer, and our Aberdeen. Melody Bell, she is so tough.
A terrific win, terrific ride. We're really pleased with how she came through the run, and the staff at home have done a great job.
We're ready, Windsor Park Plate. And look at Melody Bell join the party now. Oh, she's right in the conversation here, put a couple of lengths on them. Melody Bell in front. Sandy Cope gets to second, but she has been way too good. And we are ready. Stand by for the start. The Livermore, they're off and racing here. But it's Sandy Cope in front. Run, baby, run. She's home at the line. She's been too good.
I don't think I've ever raced a horse in a more important race in my life. Big thrill, this, I tell you.
And the first Group 1 of Cup Week is closed. Ready for the Guineas. All clear given. Racing. Madison County's coming after it from Cernate. Dawn Patrol ahead. Madison County though. Madison County. It's Guineas territory for Madison County. Clear of Dawn Patrol and Cernate. And Madison County won it.
It was number one. To get here, after he won his 2-year-old race, we sort of labelled him a Guineas horse, and everything's gone right.
But she's here. Michael Coleman for Peter and Dawn Williams. Takes her into line now. TheGavelHouse.com. Group 1 Guineas over the mile. They're racing. Media Sensation leads a length and a half for Laylene Expression. Secret Allure with a late run. Media Sensation, 3/4 on Valele. Media Sensation, you can read all about it. Media Sensation beats Valele and Expression.
Well, it's great to look back on those 5 Group 1s that we've already had this season. And of course, we do have our 6th this weekend in the Captain Cook Stakes. A very warm welcome into the First Call live on Friday. Emily Bosson with you, and joined by Aidan Rodley. And Aidan, a little bit of a different lineup today. You're the last man standing.
It seems that way, Emily. Great to have you here in place of Matt Cross, who's just taken a couple of weeks break after a fantastic week on the punt last week, and Jason Tan in Japan and Hong Kong. And yeah, you don't look exactly like Jason Tan. You got all the Asian form done?
I'm actually taller than Jason Tan by quite so much. Good morning, everybody. It's nice to be joining you for a weekend, guys, where I think we're pretty happy that Ellersley's going to dry out and we're going to play, hopefully, on a dead type track. Aidan, you've spoken to Kim Trewick this morning. I don't think we're so confident that's going to be the case at Trentham.
I think it is improving down there. Talking to Kim, they've had rain basically every day leading up to this Group 1 Ridges Wellington Captain Cook Stakes Day. But obviously the rain that we've had has taken down to a heavy 10, got to a slow 9, has gone back down to a heavy 10. But there's no more rain forecast, so hopefully we're going to see a little bit of drying in the last sort of 24, 36 hours leading into the big race.
As a jockey's agent, how hard is it to juggle a good Ellerslie meeting with a premier meeting at Wellington, where obviously your number 1 jocks might want to be at Wellington riding at a Group 1, but you've also got 5 or 6 regular commitments at Ellerslie? Like, do most of the jocks want to go where the Group 1 is? Oh,
ideally, if there's a winning chance, they want to be there. And if not, then you take your chances where, you're going to be, jockeys going to be split, especially when you see most of the jockeys with good Group 1 rides heading down to Trentham, and the next lot of jockeys staying around to get Group 3 decent rides in the Bone Crusher Stakes and good rides at Ellerslie. And obviously you're wanting to build into the carnivals. In Ellerslie you do that. You're riding for trainers who are going to be having horses running at those carnivals. So it's a tricky one for jockeys, tricky one for trainers who are then having to, if Murray Baker's got horses running at Ellerslie, Matt Cameron's his go-to man at the moment. If he's down at Trentham, then who fills the void for him there? So it's a tricky one all round. And one thing we're seeing, especially in the wake of Tony Allen's broken arm from yesterday, is that the jockey ranks are getting thinner and thinner all the time. We are seeing a couple of jockeys coming back. Craig Grill's one of those, Michael McNabb another one coming back. We said that Kelly McCulloch's taken a few rides during the week, but still the ranks are thin.
They are. They're needed, that is for sure. Speaking of the Group 1, let's get straight into the form. And of course, Captain Cook Stakes Open, weight for age. And we've got a really class lineup when it comes to this race. And there's a number of sort of top chances at the top of that market.
Both you and I were at Caulfield Cup Day when John Snow last raced, and then Aidan, of course, went across to the Carnival. Question for you both. When these horses have raced at the highest level in Melbourne or Sydney, do you automatically rate that form above New Zealand form? Because John Snow was poor in the Caulfield Cup, but he was third in a Maccabi Diva. When you look at these, do you think, OK, that Australian form, once you've been exposed to those carnivals, is automatically several points better than ours?
Maybe. I don't know how you feel about this, Emily, but I know you rode John Snow before he went over to Australia, and he was getting beaten in all those races, despite running very, very good races in races like the Karaka Million 3-year-old race, the Living Classic, the New Zealand Derby. You know, he was very good in a whole lot of races leading up, but he didn't win any of those. Went over to Australia, Tulloch Stakes, Australian Derby. So, you know, our form's okay when we put it into that context.
It sure is, and I think that probably the exception there was at his own age group. Obviously, it's very different at sort of that weight for age level. For me, 100%, I think, to have done what he did in that preparation where he went really well in the Maccabi Diva and really well in the Turnbull as well. Yeah. Just the Caulfield Cup, then obviously things went wrong. Very hard tracks at that time of year, and I think that's probably what he doesn't handle. And I think my only concern would be a long preparation. How has he come back? Can he maintain that level of
well, I
he's
think
trialled
what we're seeing from the trial, exactly.
Yeah,
and that's the reassuring thing about John Snow is he's come back, he's trialled really well. I spoke to Matthew Cameron during the week and he said that he felt terrific. You know, he's going to get the cut out of the track, which is ideal for him. You know, his wet track record is outstanding. Both those runs in Sydney were on wet
And I would
tracks.
suggest on the speed map, which you put together, he tends to map at the front end of the field,
he would go
which
forward,
in New Zealand weight for age races tends to be a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. This is a race that doesn't have any real nippy early speed in it. Authentic Paddy's going forward, but geez, he took a lot of work to get to the front the other day. So, you know, if there's a horse who wants to be there, John Snow, he might be close to the win I've got on. We've got consensus going forward, and just be tricky from those draws for Mona Kea and Ocean Emperor. Obviously, the track might be playing a little bit wet, and it might be advantageous to be a little bit wider here, but yeah, they're tricky draws for a couple of key runners, well, Ocean Emperor especially.
When you look at John Snow, first up for the season, he ran 4th in the 1400 behind a race-fit Melody Bell, and that was his first start for an awfully long time because he hadn't raced since to Sydney, well, way back 6 or 8 months earlier. And he's coming off quite a good fitness base, and he's had that trial last week where he was good. So I would expect him to be fitter and more optimum than he was heading into the 1400 for the first part of the carnival. Now that's the case, and this is not as strong as that Group 1 because Ocean Emperor was there, but there was a lot of other very good horses, and here he is against Air Aberdeen at the trials last week. If he is in superior state to he was going into the Tarzino, I think he picks himself here, even though Dan's Dance is a very good horse. So here's two of the key factors, our Aberdeen and John Snow at the trials last week, and I thought there was lots to like about both of these.
He's very honest, isn't he, John Snow? You know he's going to run a race for you. That's probably crucial with him, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And he trialled really well leading into Hastings. But our Aberdeen, who is known as a 2,000-metre horse, beat him home in that race over, weight for age 1,400 metres. There's no reason what we've seen of our Aberdeen why she can't be really competitive again. She's trialled up really well and behind John Snow. She's not out of this, and at the odds, who's to say that she might not be the better of the pair? I think just with the wetter track, that's going to suit John Snow a whole lot more, and it is encouraging to see, both of them have now got their residual fitness. She went through the 3 Group 1 weight for age races at Hastings, and he's gone through 1 and then gone to Melbourne, and both of them have come back with very good trials.
I spoke to Andrew Forsman this morning. He said, look, we're really happy the track's wet. He wasn't sure how it would play, and there is the chance it could become holding. But he said, look, we just didn't want a hard track, as you mentioned. It got too hard from the Melbourne, and he said, we're happy with this fitness. He really liked the horses in each way play. He said, look, I think he'll finish at least top 3, and we definitely know he can win. And he also liked the fact that Dan's Dance, who's the favourite for the race, is coming off a similar prep in that she raced through October, but has had a big break since then. So it's not like he's coming up against 4 or 5 rock hard weight for age recent performers. So here is the last time we saw Aberdeen and Dan's Dance in a race, and I think everybody, Emily loves Dan's Dance and knows how good she is, but she's facing a slightly similar situation to Jon Snow in the fact that we haven't seen her for a while.
I think she's probably better suited at the mile in that fresh state. Do you think that would be a fair call?
Oh, yeah, I think so too. And obviously they both come home. The sectionals in the last 600 of that race were almost identical. The difference was that Dance had got into traffic, whereas Ara Aberdeen was able to get into clear rear. And so obviously she had a less impeded run, where Dance obviously had traffic to clear, and they'll still hit the line in similar sectionals. So both of them very, very good runs. Dance is an interesting prospect here because she's had 9 starts, and while she's been good, you know, you think of her runs in the Derby especially, and then also in this race, the Livermore Classic. She's a bit of an up-and-comer, and we just don't know where her level yet is. She might well be a Captain Cook winner, and the market suggests she certainly will, but you know, compare it to Ara Aberdeen. I keep coming back to Ara Aberdeen as the yardstick horse on a lot of these. We're getting a yardstick on Jon Snow through the Tarzino and through the trials. We're getting a yardstick on Dance through that Livermore Classic, and she measures up pretty well against the pair of them. And they're the 2 favourites, and Ara Aberdeen, I may be talking myself into her a little bit because she's in
like
it.
Yeah. Speaking of Dance, we can catch up with Chris Gibbs as he spoke about his excitement building into the Group 1 on Saturday.
Yeah, fabulous to have her back. It's exciting. Kylie had her for a couple of weeks after that particular run in the Group 1 down there, so we're very, very happy with the way she came back into the stable. She looks fantastic. We think we've got a very forward BP, so the only thing that concerns us is of course the heavy track. A lot of the Master Craftsmen do cope with it. And she's a lightly framed mare. A lot of the time you get these lighter framed mares and they get through it okay. We can't fault her. She's in beautiful order. We're going down in beautiful order. It's a Group 1. You've got to keep going and have a go. That's the only way we're going to find out anyway. I suppose there's that factor that comes into it with the seasoned runners that could have the edge over us, I think. So it's a bit of a mystery, but they put us out as favourites, so that surprises me a little bit. But she's a quality mare, and I think she'll run well.
Yep, and you've got the surfaces too of Opie Bosson.
We're very, very happy about that. So, and Opie's, you know, having talked to Opie, he's really keen to ride her, and that's always a big thing when you got a rider on. If they're chomping at the bit to get on a certain horse, it just gives you another couple of lengths, I think. So, very, very happy, and we're looking forward to Saturday.
She certainly looks like a lovely chance and is engaged at the top of the market there for the Captain Cook Stakes. If we were looking outside of our Aberdeen and, of course, Dance, Jon Snow, Ocean Emperor is a horse that presents himself. Where do we see him fitting in?
He's got to be a big factor in the race. While he was probably below his best through the Hawke's Bay Triple Crown Series, he's come back with 2 really good wins, the Red Craze Bowl and then this one. And this is a key race too because it's weight for age at Tauranga. We see his wet track record very good indeed, and he did get the run of the race here. Lindsay Sadler gave him a peach of a ride in the trail, presented him at the right time, and that's to his favour. But he's going pretty well, Michael.
Well, a couple of things on top of what you said already, because I agree with you, is a lot of these horses aren't screwed down fit. They haven't raced in the last 6 or 8 weeks. He has, and he's raced at close to his peak. Yes, he can race handy to the speed, and often at Trentham, weight for age, they can tend to just dawdle along, and then they'll kick, from the 600. That would suit him beautifully. The heavy track's there. He's probably got enough tactical speed to go where Rosie wants to go on him.
That is the query, though, is that draw, though, because where do you go? Do you push the button and go forward and risk being caught 3 wide, which might not be a bad thing at Trentham if the track is wet, but this day they were able to just posse and take a trail. They'd love to have been able to do this in the Captain Cook.
If the inside's going to be off by this stage of the Dutch, race 8, and it's been cut up a touch, I don't mind her being drawn a touch wide. I really like Rosie as a touch rider, as somebody who doesn't have a lot of plans and it goes out there and rides the horses the way they feel. I think she's very good at that. I think he's got a great chance. He's not top pick for me because he's failed Emily a few times at Group 1 level, but this isn't the strongest Group 1 of the year, and he does have that immediate fitness advantage over the others. So I think the market, if we can show it again, I think he was around $8, and I think that's really fair. If I was having a decent bet on Jon Snow, and I'm probably going to back Jon Snow each way in this race, if I'm going to back him each way, then I'm happy to cover on Ocean Emperor. That brings us to down the bottom of the book and a couple of mares / sort of horses who are not proven weight for age horses, but we know are good horses. Darscape Princess and Dark Princess. So the two princesses. Where do we line them up? Because they're on 57 kgs, which brings them awfully close to a Jon Snow type horse without those type of performances. But we are talking, in the case of Dark Princess, recent race fitness.
Okay, well look at Dark Princess first, because this is a video that's showing. So she's coming through along the inside. She's got a beautiful run this day under Lisa Allpress, who retains the ride. Now she's beaten Dolcetto, who's been there and really fought hard. Now the swing in weights here from a handicap of the Thompson handicap, it's 5 kilograms towards Dolcetto. You put 5 kilograms on Dark Princess, and I don't know if that 1 length margin is still going to be there for Dolcetto. In fact, by weights and measures, it's a win for Dolcetto. Now Dolcetto's gone to the Livin Stakes last week. Obviously 1200 is too short for him now, but he loves a wet track. He loves a wet Trentham track. Jason Woodell's taken over with the scratching of Windspell. He's moved to Dolcetto, and just at the weights and measures, you'd think that Dolcetto would be able to turn the tables on Dark Princess. I think it was 21s Dolcetto against something like 9s, and a shortening 9 as well. Dark Princess who'd come in from around about 12. You can't fault what Dark Princess is doing. Really good things, and obviously handles a wet track. And just going back into Darscape Princess, when we looked at that Tauranga Stakes, has closed really nicely in behind Ocean Emperor. They've hit identical sectionals from the last 600 in a race that really did favour those on speed. So I don't think, and the market's suggesting that as well, $5.50 against $8 against Ocean Emperor. She's rated a better chance. And like you say, a query on the weight for age, but then you go back into the New Zealand Stakes last year, and her run was enormous that day in a race that Letha stole from the front on Saint Emilion, where it made up huge ground against the pattern to run second. So wet track's a concern, but she's a class.
In those last 2 races, though, like Ocean Emperor, I know she was closing on him last time, but he beat her quite easily at Awapuni. I don't see many advantages here. Her wet track form isn't great. I don't see many reasons why I could find to back Darscape Princess at shorter odds.
One thing about
Ocean
that Awapuni race, it was 1400 metres. She is a 2000 metre horse, and a wet Trentham 1600 is going to play more like a 2000 than what it will like a 1400 metre race. I think if it comes down to a staying test, I think she'd probably have the edge on Ocean Emperor.
Who's the better chance, the 2 or the 13?
I don't think there's much between them. Probably Darscape Princess on a decent track. If it's going to be a holding slow track, then you're going to go to Ocean Emperor. It's a better chance.
So bets in the race?
I'm going to back Jon Snow each way, because I think at 451.8 you're getting most of your spin back. Emily makes sense to me. I will cover on Ocean Emperor, because I just find that a lot of the times our weight for age races are dawdles, and if he is handy to the speed, that residual fitness may be a key factor.
I found a few that I thought were overs in the market, but the more I kept coming back to it, the more I kept coming back to Jon Snow. He's just going to be suited by conditions. He is a true weight for age performer, so I'm going to take him on an each way basis. But there's respect around a few, and one of those is Dolcetto, and obviously we're talking up our Aberdeen.
Just what about the track? Are you going to watch a couple of races and factor the track in?
Definitely.
Because,
absolutely, and those good jockeys will know the right path to be on. There's just no two ways about it.
You mean your jockeys?
That's he's hoping.
Is that what you were saying?
Well, we leave the Group 1 Captain Cook Stakes and we move you along a little bit earlier in the card at Trentham. You've got race 4, the Anuka Smoker Wakefield Challenge Stakes, over 1100 metres. Pretty tricky little race, actually. We've got unexposed form, trial form. How are we assessing this 4th?
Well, I spoke to Stephen Marsh yesterday. He said it was a $100,000 maiden race, so it was well worth having a go. Unfortunately, he's lost to Pellant, who did look to be probably the horse to beat after the Wellesley Stakes placing. But he has Killen in there, who was a very good trial winner a couple of starts back at Taupo and did beat home Easy Rider. But it is really a race. We're going to have to look at those the trials form, and that's what we've done to find the speed map. So there's no real confidence, because they don't always position up as they do at the trials as they do race day. But She's a Lady is the likely speed. We've seen that from the 2 runs so far, and behind Bavella at Ellerslie, and then in the stakes race, the Splice Construction at Pukekohe last time. Killen has shown tactical speed, as has Aotea Lad. Aretha not so much, but does look to be a real talent. Chincenta was just a little bit awkward and sort of a bit green on debut, but will be a whole lot sharper for that race day experience. I've got it sort of mapping back a little bit in the other 2, just finding spots, but it's a tricky race, Michael.
Well, we're going to have to go to the trials to try and find the best form. Well, She's a Lady, by the way, was really good behind Bavella on both occasions. On the second occasion at Pookie, she got taken on, and they went quite hard, and she was still there at the 100 and just peaked on a run. Here's Aretha. in the Baker Forsman colours back in the field. Now, not the horse who's second outside the leader, actually the horses who closes late on that horse, coming through the pack. There's 3 sets of colours there. This is coming through the pack. Watch the last 100 here, because Aretha can really, really scoot. John, so I got the wrong one. No, 2. Yes, 2. No, sorry, it's the one in front. My apologies. I've watched 2 trials of hers last night, and one of them she scooted late, and one of them she won. That was the first of the trials. The second trial was actually more impressive. I thought she hit the line really, really hard. I spoke to Andrew Forsman about it this morning. He said, look, she was, like a lot of 2-year-olds, just feeling the tracks a little touch. And then with this race being a $100,000 maiden, black type being available, and the fact that, you know, she's obviously pretty good, because both trials are really good. I thought the second trial better than that one. He thought she was a good chance in the race. But the other horse who's really caught my attention, Em, is Aotea Lad.
Hard to ignore, isn't he? Yeah.
His first trial, given a quiet, loving trial, just feel good about
really
life.
Educational.
Second trial here, so he's in the Tiako colours. I'll get this one right. He's pretty hard to miss. He'll be pulling to the outside, and gee, finds the line good here.
Yeah, this was a very, very good trial indeed. Like you say, that first one, he just went around, just got a feel for racing and how it's going to work. Look at them doing this best work in the closing stages, really attacks the line. And well, it won't be always easy to do this in, you know, a race where we're going to see horses who have had race day starts, the likes of Cinzento and She's a Lady, who will be out probably close to the speed and then quickening. There was just enough in that to say, yeah, it's going to be an encouraging.
And a very professional attitude, which I think is going to be crucial on Saturday. They've travelled a long way. Obviously, he's going to have come from Matamata. Even Killen is going to have come from Cambridge. Aretha's going to come from Cambridge. If they can hold it together, do the job on the day, that's going to really help at this early stage of their careers.
Tiako horses, then, they tend to. They're so well educated at home, and they have so many mates to work with that they do tend to, you know, turn up to the races. Gee, we're seeing it a lot at the moment. Turn up to the races and win on debut. We saw another one yesterday before the winning got cancelled down there in the CD. I thought Aotea Lad looked like a horse who would appreciate Trentham, the way he found the line there. So I believe shortly we're going to be joined by the man who knows him a little bit better than all of us.
Yeah, we hopefully will have Jamie with us and be able to have a little chat about his 5 contenders over the weekend. We'll be back after the break here on the First Call Live. Well, as promised prior to the break, we do have Jamie Richards live from Matamata to have a little talk about his horses over the weekend. 5 contenders engaged across Ellerslie and Trentham. And Jamie, you wouldn't have been able to see it, but we just saw some nice footage of your sister Libby, who of course just joined the team this week and no doubt will be being a great helping hand for you.
Yeah, no, she's she's a pretty good girl, and yeah, she'll be a great part of the team, and really looking forward to seeing her broaden her knowledge, everything like that. Speak on the TV, all of those sorts of things that she's going to learn to do, and you know, we're going to hopefully have a really exciting time together.
Jamie, is there a member of the Richards family that's not working for Tiako at the moment?
The only one Dave hasn't got yet is Mum, and I don't think he'll get her. She's feeding the mouths from the bank, so no, he's got everybody else.
Jamie, a big weekend, of course, coming up, and our Aberdeen is engaged in the Group 1 Captain Cook Stakes. Just talk to us a little bit about what this horse has done since we did see her during that Spring Carnival.
So she just had a sort of a week or 10 days off. She's an older mare that gets pretty gross pretty quick. So she had a week at Wentwood back with the boys, and then she goes off to the water walker for a week and then back into the stable, and that's sort of her general routine when she has a little bit of a freshen up. And she's been back in and done plenty of work and trialled well, and you know, we're pleased with her.
Jamie, a lot of punters are very rider-based, and they'll look at this and see Shafiq is riding at Aberdeen, and Opie, your number one rider, is not riding the stable rep. Is that his choice? Is there a reason behind that, and is that something punters should read into?
No, I don't think there's too much to read into that. Shafiq's got a terrific record on the mare and won a couple of group races on her in the autumn, and the team at Wentwood decided that they'd like Shafiq to ride her, which we're fully behind them. Shafiq's an integral part of our stable and rides her in most of her work, so I don't think there's too much to be read into that, and Shafiq will do a terrific job tomorrow.
Mate, the Trentham track is looking like it could be holding, for want of a better word. What do you make of that? Like, what would you like to see eventuate tomorrow? Would you like more rain, more drying, or what's going to best suit our Aberdeen?
The further the track gets back will help her. I had a good chat to Wayne Guppy last night, and he assures me it's going to get back a bit further. So, you know, if it got back to a 6 or a 7, that'd be perfect for her. And she's a genuine sort of mare. She's won on all track conditions and, you know, performed well on rain-affected going in the spring and in the autumn.
Of course, also we're engaged on the day. You've got our Tia Ladd in the Wakefield Challenge Stakes. This horse just looks so professional from what we've seen at the trials. How is he handling sort of that early preparation?
He was a real handful in the early part of the spring and was subsequently gelded, and he's really turned the corner since then. The staff at home have done a great job to get him back on track, and he obviously trialled well at Matamata. Opie likes him. Waddell trialled him in the spring. He likes him. So a couple of good judges are saying that he's starting to look all right, and you know, we've been pleased with his work. It's not something that we often do, throwing a horse in the deep end like this, but I had a gut feeling the race was going to come up a little bit weak, and I'm glad that we pumped some work into him, and he's ready to go tomorrow.
Of course, you've also got a host of runners at Ellerslie as well. You've got Total Excess, of course, maybe a horse that catching the eye. That was a really impressive performance, a second race day start for this horse. Since that run, has the horse improved? He looks like a really sort of laid-back type of animal. Has he come on from that effort?
Yeah, he has, Emily. He's done well in the stable. 2-week turnaround, 1400. Everything looks pretty right about the job. Coleman's on him and galloped him on Tuesday morning, so we're pleased with him. He's a progressive sort of horse. He's 2 from 2, obviously, and needs to take that next step up into stakes company on Saturday.
Talking about Saturday, as we watch him winning here left-handed, Jamie, how have you found it when you're taking horses to Ellerslie for the first time? Because a lot of them can come around that bend and they can get a bit lost at the top of the straight. Do you guys concentrate on that in between these two runs, on getting them to do things right and getting on the right leg right-handed?
A very laid-back sort of horse, Mick, and trialled well right-handed. You know, if he was a young and mature 2-year-old or something that hadn't trialled or done a bit of work right-handed, we might, but we've just kept it pretty simple with him. At Matamata here, we work right-handed Wednesday, Friday, so they always sort of using themselves on their right leg a couple of times a week, and I think that's an important part of their training.
Okay, Jamie, out of the entire weekend for the 2 major meetings, of course, Ellerslie and Trentham, if you were going to advise punters to have one bet from your stable, Te Akau, who would it be?
It's probably one or 2 of the ones we haven't talked about in Beaumarchais and Meteoric Glass, rating horses that are working their way through the grades. Their work's been spot on, and they've drawn to get a nice run in the race, and I'd say they're progressive sorts of horses.
Okay, Melody Bell, is she heading back to the trials on Tuesday as originally thought, and everything's going well there?
Yeah, really pleased with her, Mick. She's in terrific order, eating well, looks at picture, so I don't like to say too much, but we're really excited about getting her back to the races.
Well, Emmy, this one obviously favourite for the railway, and Jamie's trying to maybe be a bit coy there, but I've got a funny feeling he's pretty happy to be having her in the sort of state she is just a couple of weeks out.
And I think Jamie can have a career on the TV if training's going his way, but maybe a career on the TV. He's doing a good job on his own there.
I don't think there's as much money, Emily, in the TV as there's being the boss at Te Akau, to be honest.
He's doing enough.
He's got
good
the hair
enough
for
job,
it.
yeah.
Hey, Jamie, good luck for the weekend, buddy. I hope it goes well. Thanks for joining us as always. Well done on trying to get the entire family working for the Tangerine Army, and yeah, it could be a handy little thing when you get married one day, buddy. You could say, not only do you get me, you get a job.
No problem. Good punting. Thanks for having me.
So Jamie Richards there having a chat about his contenders this weekend. Of course, he does have...
blushing there, Mike. Yeah, talk of marriage. I don't know if that fitted so well.
Wait till you're 40s, Jamie. That was interesting, though. The two horses he likes the most over the weekend, I suppose it's easier than Wait for Age, but Beaumarchais and Meteoric Lass, that makes me want to start paying attention to those.
Yeah, Beaumarchais was really good last time out in the race. It was run off the front, really attacking the line nicely. And Meteoric Lass, who'd won the first couple of races, just a little bit awkward last time out, but she looks like a really promising horse as well. But, geez, they've got a really good team around them. That premiership lead, down to 2 now with Murray Baker and Andrew Forsman, just dwindling that lead. But, you know, 2 really strong trainers and...
so early in the season too, to have such great competition, it's great to see.
I put it to Jamie last week. I had a really big conversation about him, and I said, "Have you got the numbers?" He said, "No." He just flat out said, "No, we don't have the numbers to do that job." So if you are betting into the premiership, that's what he told me. I'm not sure he's right, but.
Oh, I'm sure he's right. Murray Baker and Andrew Forsman will be winning that premiership. I don't think there's too many ways about that. But they've made a great start, Te Akau. And for Jamie, for his first season going solo, it's just a brilliant start. Picked up those couple of Group 1s early with Melody Bell. He's got Aberdeen going around another Group 1.
It's stakes winners, isn't it?
2-year-olds are going good.
Crucial,
well, they're up to 8. Murray and Andrew at 10. So they're both having great... But Jamie's only a young guy, and Andrew has Murray there. That's just 2 of them together. Whereas, yes, Jamie does have, you know, his dad's on the property now.
Scott Leacock's there
exactly,
well.
and he does have David, of course, to help plan things. But it's still an enormous amount of pressure for a young man. He's handling himself really well. Yeah.
He sure is. It's a very exciting time for the team at Te Akau. We're going to get you off to a break, and then we'll be back with more previews following on from that.
The only horse you need to back today is Love Affair, because if you back her now at 2.5, if she starts, she'll be shorter. If it rains, she won't start, and you get your money back. It's a no-brainer.
I've got 30 a win on her. I think she is a standout in the race.
Mishka and Love Affair and the ding-donger at the line. I think she got up Love Affair. Just
Raw Impulse, all glory days to win the Wanganui Cup. So Matt and yourself and Michael pretty keen on Raw Impulse. Aiden's got glory days. The public are very keen on glory days. So you can have them both.
Underpins Glory Days, sweeping up on the outside. Ranged up at the lead. He tries again. Underpins, but Glory Days. She continues her winning run. Brilliant to the finish.
Rhinestone Cowboy, Probabeel, Cinerama, that's a $200 multi. Rhinestone Cowboy's $1.50 into $1.50 into Cinerama.
But now he gives him full bore, and Rhinestone Cowboy comes away from them here. He puts 2 or 3 lengths on a brave piece of cake. Sing the song, Rhinestone Cowboy, too good.
Here's Probabeel now at the 200 metres. Probabeel ranged up, took the lead at the 150 and dashed away. But the bookies cup one again here at the line. It'll be Probabeel bolted in.
Jay Parks drives Cinerama to the lead and clears them. Brugel getting through, still there Rebel Rose Jackal Bomb. But have a look at Cinerama, and Cinerama has the bookies crying.
Well, it was a pretty good weekend for our punters here on the first call, and we don't like to give Matt Cross too much credit, do we? Because his head just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, but great multi.
Oh, he's done it twice now. Like he did it in the last 10-week segment where he just smashed a multi and he's got $4,000. He's done it this week. Got another couple of grand.
Do you multi-bet?
Not a lot, no. It's not really something
I can see. I think having a decent bet on a couple of shorties, and Probabeel was a perfect one there. And they were all easy watches. All of them are bolted, and well done to Matt. He is a now clear leader, which... Put that down, guys. We don't want to show that. He'll be totally carried away.
Well, the funny thing about that, like that graphic showed that Jason Tama was happy to shoulder arms last week. You know, he wasn't here. so he shouldered arms. So he's not here this week. What's going to happen? Is he going to play?
Well, what's going to happen is we're going to put the knuckle into him as well.
Yeah.
Well done to Matt on last week. And look, the Love Affair bet, they held firm, the bookies, at 2.5 for a long time. Once that rain didn't come on the day, she didn't win by much, but they were actually pretty generous.
Yeah, exactly.
We do move on to our other meeting. We've got Ellerslie coming up on Saturday as well as Trentham, and we've got a little bit of a different situation here, Michael, compared to Trentham with that Ellerslie track.
Yeah, outside in Auckland right now, it's quite warm. It's got quite a baking heat, and it has been for a lot of the last week and a half. And yes, there's been plenty of rain, but it's the water table here is nowhere as high. Yes, we have a track which has new drainage, so it will drain better. It's 7 as we speak to you now. They're pretty confident out at Ellerslie they'll get back to a 6 and maybe even a 5.
Nice.
Now, the rail goes out 6 metres, but last week they were coming down the outside. Bizarrely, the last race was won by a horse coming up the inside, but it played very fair.
Yeah.
And all the jockeys, Emily, you would know this, are really happy with how it's playing. The one thing I would say with the rail out being 6, you do tend to lean a little bit to those horses who are going to be on the speed, but gee, there's a lot of even fields there. There's a lot of fields where it's $4 or $5 the field, but I'm absolutely certain, unless there's rain on the day, we'll be playing on about a 5 to 6 tomorrow.
Speaking of even fields, we do have the Bone Crusher Stakes as the feature over the 1400 metres for the 3-year-olds, and yeah, even is probably a good word for this, isn't it? It's a very tricky little race for these 3-year-olds.
It is, and one thing we're seeing in these we're seeing the Trevor Eagle last week at Ellerslie. We saw the day before the Wellington Stakes. So there's a clump of these 3-year-old races around that 1600 metre mark. So trainers can pick and choose, and because of that, I think it's diluting the quality of them to some degree. But it's also giving a lot of these sort of 1 and 2 win horses a great opportunity to have a go at stakes level. This is an interesting race.
This is a remarkable field. I can't remember this happening many times before. Of all the horses in this race, only one of them, bizarrely Bokeh, doesn't have a win in its last 4 starts. That's incredibly rare in this country because once you get to a decent level, it's really hard to keep winning. Now, Bokeh was beaten in nose by Media Sensation 3 starts ago. So almost all of these horses have winning form.
Yeah.
And with 3-year-olds in this country, as we all know, you get them up and you try them when you're maiden, and then you go, okay, have I got a Derby's horse? Have I got a Guineas horse? Have I got a trader for Hong Kong? And I think a lot of people are going into this race not knowing the answer to those questions, but they'll know a lot more, as we did last weekend, by 6 o'clock on sort of... Just 6 o'clock Saturday night.
Yeah, a quick word on that map. There seems to be enough pressure in this race. There's a lot of horses who are drawn wide that will probably look to be pushing forward. I think it's going to be fairly run, and like Michael said, the rail out a little bit, it can just sometimes favour those on speed. I think this will be a pretty fair race looking at the map that we've put together.
We can have a little look at one of the top contenders in the race, which is Masetto, and did a few things wrong, but wow, when it was released, didn't it just let down?
This is the one in behind them with the white face and the yellow colour, so it's not the usual Team Rogerson colours, and you're thinking, hold on, how's this going to win from here? And then this is a pretty good field. Spirits or Beer is outside the leader. Here comes Masetto, gets a gap, it was huge odds in the market, and it wins like a $1.20 chance. Obviously, it's got a huge motor. That's 2 on end.
Super win. Obviously, we see Hypnos in there as well. So a lot of the form out of this race, Spirits of Beers run 3rd, and just in behind them as well, we saw Bokeh, who just was a messy race for Bokeh because it did seem to be a race that favoured those on speed, but it did get to the outside and had its chance, whereas we saw in that video Masetto just being blocked for a run at a key point of the race, yet was still able to show the acceleration to win. Was really impressive. Had this horse drawn an alley, I think I would have had it on, I would have had it on top. But in the end, I think it's a race where we can play some real value in the race.
And what are you going to do with regards to that?
Right, so at $16, there's a horse called Quizmaster here, and I've got a stat for you, going back into my Sarton Memorial sort of map in comments. So that race was a race that did favour those on speed. So the first 3 in running have run 1, 2 and 4. So it was a race where those flashing light horses, and Madison County was one, came from a long way back, hit the line, say, wow, that was a run and a half. And then Madison County has duly come out and won a Group 1. Now, the horse who's gone even further back was Quizmaster. Quizmaster has run home faster than Madison County, not by much, but certainly has run home faster against the pattern as well. This horse is at $16 in that race. Prior to that, had won really nicely. Just looks to be a horse who's on the up. We've seen the Logan stable, or the Gibbs stable, Gibbs Bradley stable these days, targeting these 3-year-old races and getting them ready for derbies. There is a flashing light run with the stats sectionals to back it up at $16. It's a play race.
You know, I agree with you, but I also agree with you if we made the same comments about Total Excess or Spirits or Weir or Hypnos or Cavallo Veloce, even Star Performance. Star Performance was really good running fourth in a very strong Hawke's Bay Guineas. Emily, I thought it was a race where you could make a case for a whole bunch of horses. I'm actually going Masetto because I think they might be able to get to the centre of the track. I love Trudy Thornton riding horses like this, would need to be taught a lesson because she'll boss them around a little bit. I could easily go Spirits or Beer. I'm willing to forgive on the last start, but that could easily be Star Performance. It could just be, it could be anything. This is a really good race, and much like those 2 3-year-olds last week, I think we're going to learn more by Saturday night about where everybody's going.
Yeah, make a good point on Star Performance, because that run in the Hawke's Bay Guinea was very good, and Pryor was good and showed plenty last season as well. Looks to have a touch of class.
Well, we've highlighted the Bone Crusher Stakes and what we're going to do in that race, but of course to bets for the weekend is where that leads us to next. And here's a little look at what the team's doing. Aidan, do you want to kick it off?
I'm going to go with Santa Monica. I just wasn't 100% sure, but in the open sprint, their run last time out was massive. Gets a 6 kilogram turnaround on Volks Lightning from the Sweynesse Stakes when Sweynesse was just run on speed and Santa Monica was flying home. Counties Bowl run in behind Bostonian was massive and now drops to a winnable weight. Looks very hard.
Emily, my bet could have been your bet too, because I really like Starry Beale. Gee, I like what I saw at Awapuni, but I think Terra Sancta is coming in beautifully into the Dunstan Championship because finished 5th behind Igraine in the Counties Cup, and that's obviously super form, and it's got 57 kilos here. The drying track interests me, even though it has one on the wet in Australia. And Gundown's carrying 59 but has a wide draw. I think Terra Sancta's a horse who could not only win this championship, it could turn up in an Auckland Cup. I think it's the right horse in the right race. But I would like to see the track get back to a 5 or a 6 to be backing it with confidence.
Well, there you go. Best of luck the weekend with regards to your bets. We're going to head to a break, then we'll be back in to look at some more action following on from that. Well, we saw this concept introduced last year at around this time, and it was a great success, and we're looking forward to that International Jockeys Challenge once again, and we've got a little lineup sort of coming together, and it's great to have these international jockeys coming over to be a part of our day at Ellerslie.
It was obviously Ellerslie do the twilight meetings very well indeed, and this was a really good night last year. We saw some international jockeys come across. Ben Allen was a star, Jamie Carr was another star, and yeah, we've got the lineups. Here they go. New Zealand male team, Parks, Bosson and Innes. What I'd like to see is I'd like to see Bosson go to the international team. Geez, he's a Hong Kong rider, wasn't he? He's a Hong Kong rider. He's won Group 1s in Australia, and get Matthew Cameron into that New Zealand team. Tommy Berry and Jamie Carr coming across, as is Sam Weatherly for the Young Guns. There's the female team, All Press Collett and Spratt, and Widdamoo Pin, the young gun, coming up to partner Ryan Elliott with...
Just for those watching at home, if you have a bottle of whiskey handy, could you send it to us to give to George Simon? Because George is in for a hell of a night, because at the World Jockeys Challenge last year, all the colours looked like all the other colours, and I love the concept. It was so much fun talking to all the jockeys, but
he had a bad night.
The colours looked like a fruit salad. They really did, and I understand the concept. I think it's cool, but the colours could have been simpler.
Yes, yes, because basically there's 4 lots of colours, right?
Yeah.
Worn by 3 of them, and then it's just a hat that's different.
Yeah, but it is great fun, and it's good to have the international jockeys here, and of course we're hearing James McDonald might be coming for the carnival, so there's no doubt it adds to it, and there's no doubt the Australians are more likely to look at it and go, okay, Tommy Berry's riding, I'll have a bet. So well done to Ellerslie and to Guy Sargent for doing something different on a Thursday night, which is going to be huge. They've sold a lot of tickets for this night.
Yeah, real Christmas parties, and it's going to be a good atmosphere.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, we leave the International Jockeys Challenge, that's Thursday, 13th of December, and we get you across the Tasman to Dan O'Sullivan. And of course, Dan, our focus has been out west, WA, with the Perth action, and that continues this week as we say a very good morning to you.
Good morning, how's things?
Very good. Kingston Town Classic Group 1 worth some big bucks this weekend. And I understand with regards to what you've picked that maybe you've gone away from William Pike and you found a little bit of value elsewhere.
Yeah, look, I think it's a terrific race this year. There's a lot of depth and there's a number of horses coming off terrific last start runs. There's no doubt that Arcadia Queen, that the filly is one of those. But look, in my opinion, she's $2.30 in the market, and that's a crazy price. I think that sort of price should be reserved for horses that have got a clear-cut edge in talent over their opposition, and preferably in a race that lacks some depth, and that's certainly not the case here. Look, she was very impressive winning the Guineas, but it was only against 3-year-olds, and it was a moderate bunch at that. And she settled closer than she ever has before and really had an ideal run. And look, just on facts and figures, she ran 5 lengths slower overall time compared to Galaxy Star, and individually she was almost 7 lengths slower over the final 600. Now, she does have a big weight turnaround, and William Pike did choose her as his ride, but look, even he's quoted as saying he's not certain he made the right choice, and I really don't think all of that's enough to account for that big difference in the figures they ran a couple of weeks ago, and then even more to justify her being so short in the market. So look, she can certainly win the race, and it wouldn't surprise me, but you'd be a very courageous punter, in my opinion, to be taking $2.30. That leaves me with quite a few other horses that I think are value. So it's a matter of working out what the best way is to tackle the race. I think Galaxy Star's a little bit of value. She's an outstanding mare. I think she's probably the second best mare in the country behind Winx, even though she has only been racing in Western Australia. The concern with her is that she's probably going to be 8 to 9 lengths back off the lead here, so you'll have your heart in your mouth. Material Man was an outstanding run first up in the railway. He's got ratings that can be extremely competitive here, and he maps well. Gatting is similar, and perhaps the best value in the race is a long shot, Perfect Jewel, who is $18 in the market. But look, she was great in the railway. She was a little awkwardly away and then restrained heavily, and she raced ungenerously, and she was almost 12 lengths off the lead at the 600 and still 9 lengths off him at the 400 before she ran home strongly to finish beaten less than 3 lengths. And that included running into a dead end at the 200 where she lost a little bit of momentum. So I think her run was a lot better than the market's giving it credit for. And I think here from a good draw, she's going to settle, perhaps sort of 4 lengths off the lead here. And I think that sets her up to run really well in this race. So if I was to play, I'd probably more inclined to look at backing Perfect Jewel, just a little bit the win and probably more the place, because I think she can run well and she's really nice value in what's a difficult race.
And Dan, great insight into that Group 1 coming in from WA. Your best bets for the weekend?
Yeah, look, I've gone to Adelaide for my best on the day. It's race 7, number 6, Platinum Angel, who's a Darren Weir sprinting mare. Look, she's very talented. She was great at Ballarat first up. Off a short break that was, and I think over the 1200 here she'll be much better suited. I think this race is easier, and I think she's simply the best horse in the race with the best figures and perhaps still a little bit of upside this preparation. I think she's around 240 in the market, which I think is a really good solid bet with a strong chance of collecting.
Well, thanks so much for your time, Dan. As always, it's been great to have you on the show, and we look forward to catching up with you next week.
Cheers. Good luck.
So Dan O'Sullivan there just chatting all things WA. Of course, that really is the focus when it comes to Australia. We do have to look a little bit further afield if you're looking for Group 1 action on Sunday. Sha Tin international races, fantastic prize money, high quality fields. And Jason Tarney's not with us today. That's because he's been flying the flag in Hong Kong. And Jason, it's great to have you on, and I'm sure you're doing a great job over there.
Good morning, Emily. Yes, we're out of Sha Tin this morning. We made it after the International Jockeys Championship last night at Happy Valley, where Zach Purdon was riding, and he's got a very, very interesting book on Sunday, International Day. Firstly, Zach, how's the week been?
It's been pretty good. It's always good to have everyone in town. It's very busy, but it's exciting.
champion jockey, a lot of expectation on the rides that you have on Sunday. You'll ride Beauty Generation in the mile. What can you tell us about his lead-up?
Oh, listen, he's been racing fantastically well all season. He's taken himself to another level. He's a dominant horse here in Hong Kong now. Unfortunately, as we all witnessed, and has been obviously a talking point since his race, he hung off in the straight last time and run to the outside fence. Yeah, he did have some feet issues going into that race, but you know, John has got on top of them now, hopefully, and I'm just praying that he does everything right on Sunday, goes straight, and if that's the case, he's got a decent chance.
He has been immense, hasn't he? What are you expecting from him, given that you had a good sit on him this morning?
Yeah, I'm expecting him to run well. You know, John Moore, he's a big race trainer. He knows how to get this calibre of horse ready for this type of race. I've got a lot of confidence in the way he can handle the horses. So, you know, that's very comforting. I just got to go out there and, you know, do my thing, just ride him how I would normally ride him. I can't think about whether he's going to hang and run off the track or not. I just got to ride him on his merits and, you know, hopefully just get him around nice and safe.
We've got a punting competition on the first call, and I'm going to go all in. But I'm going to go all in on your call. Who do you think is your best ride, either out of the internationals or on Sunday, that will give you a chance of saluting past the post first?
Well, it just depends if the big horse turns up fit and well. If Beauty Generation brings his best, you know, he looks like it's a nice race for him, but he's got that little bit of doubt in the back of your mind that he might be feeling something. But let's hope he can get it done.
You're not going to give me a horse, are you? Or you're going to give me a horse and I've got to win this thing.
Yeah, I know that, but I can't remember what else I'm riding, so.
So we're going all in Beauty Generation. I don't know about this, but that's Zac Purdon, Hong Kong champion jockey, Emily.
Well, I heard a rumour that it was supposed to be Jason's pick, but it's not, is it? He's put it on Zac.
Yeah, he's trying to pass the buck. So, like, if it didn't win, then he could just blame Zac.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not owning it. There he is with his Japan Cup jacket
Having
on,
a terrible
showing
time.
that he's been away
Yeah,
to Japan.
terrible time.
Yeah, he'll be wearing his Hong Kong jacket when he comes in here next week.
And he'll come back and he'll tell us, I've seen Armand die, and we'll go on and on. Look, I know when I saw an A1 and goes, I saw this. But it is great that we've got people there. And, and it'd be nice to have some more horses there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to watch anyway, and I want Beauty Generation to win because obviously it's New Zealand bred, but it's hard to pick up on all the NZ bred horses. You think back to that night Sunline was there and you go, wow, that was cool. And I can even remember before that Romney Conti going there. That's
well, even only a couple of years ago we had the Bulls horse going up there.
Yeah, and went so well.
Really well in the stars.
Finished sixth and went super.
Just adds another dimension, especially for the Kiwis.
It does to all racing. You know, like I would love to see us have one start at Ascot.
Yeah,
you know, it's such a cool meeting to go to. So it's hard to believe that Belmarino started in the ARCA ran second.
Yeah.
Once you've been in ARCA, wow, that must have been cool. Yeah, 1976, I think it was, or something like that.
Yeah, coming back a few way, Emily.
I wasn't born.
No, true.
Let's
put the knife at him.
Sorry about that. Just put a damper on things. Let's get along to Thad Taylor now and find out if he's picked himself up from last weekend. Thad will say a very good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Emily. It was certainly a day for customers at Wanganui in particular. Last Saturday, our first call special was Glory Days, $3 with Raw Impulse thrown in. Glory Days did the business, as did Cinerama, as did Broome, and I could keep listing the favourites, Emily, but I don't want to. So, yeah, look, it was a horrible day there. Customers have got plenty in their pockets and are looking to reinvest this Saturday.
Speaking of reinvesting, what have we got going on? What can you update us on with regards to the markets for the weekend?
Yeah, look, with these tracks being a little bit wet, it's always just a little bit of a waiting game. Look, I think Ellerslie potentially coming back into that slow range. Trentham currently rated heavy, and hopefully with a couple of good days drying here in Wellington, we'll get back into that slow range, and certainly the middle of that slow range, hopefully. One theory, or one sort of theory punters or customers have, is just back anything with Tangerine Tiakau and Jamie Ridgett's next to their name. That really has been a theme in the last wee while. Burgundy Bell yesterday. Looking at a few down the page here, Total Excess and the Bone Crusher has clearly been the best backed ahead of Maseto up against there. We've got Meteoric, Lass there in race number 4 going for 3 for 4. Our Aberdeen's been a shortener in the Captain Cook, but yeah, so really do like the Te Akea Tangerine. In the main race, so the Captain Cook, look, it's a very, very good betting race. John Snow up against Dan's Dance. A couple in that middle market, Dark Princess and Our Aberdeen, as I mentioned, have been back. But yeah, it's an excellent betting race, the Group 1 Captain Cook this year.
Thed, is there a lead from that market into the Captain Cook? I know you're sort of saying there's money for horses like Our Aberdeen, but is there one that they are sort of going to shorten up to some degree?
I don't. Again, I've sat here, I think 2 weeks ago, and told you iGrain wasn't going to shorten up, and it shortened up about 3 points. So I wouldn't put too much stock in what I'm saying. But what I can tell you is that the market is pretty well spread at this stage. We've had one big bet for Dance of $5,000. I think at that opening line of $4. But just in the last 24 hours or so, the John Snow fans have certainly come out of the woodwork. I don't know if he'll challenge for favouritism, John Snow, but certainly he's going to hold his place right in this market. So it is an intriguing race, bit of shuffling to be done in behind. Obviously, Darscape Princess won't really like a rain-affected track, so currently at $5.50, you can either see her potentially be scratched out of the race or be a bit of a drifter from her current line. But yeah, pretty evenly split amongst the top two favourites this stage, Aidan.
Sad, we've seen a rarity in $1.30 opening chance in a galloping race. We don't often see that in this in New Zealand. Lincoln Falls, has he been the centre of the multi-attention heading into the weekend?
I think when you get down to a certain level, Michael, in the gallops, it's certainly people just don't almost bother. Now, look, don't put me off. It looks absolutely thrown in with that run behind Langkawi in this race. We actually had a scratching in the race this morning as well, Michael, and $1.25 currently around Lincoln Falls. But yeah, look, it looks a gift, doesn't it, to start your multis, to be perfectly honest, with the field going up against him. Just no one willing to take $1.25, certainly in the singles at this stage. But just a whisper, I've just had a whisper in my ear. If you do like the Sharks feeding frenzy, may pay to look out tomorrow around Lincoln Falls. I have a funny feeling the Shark might be up to his old tricks.
Nice.
Well, thanks for that, Thad. So what have you got for us with regards to a special for the weekend?
Yeah, look, we're going to go with John Snow refund second, Emily. Look, as I say, in the last sort of 12, 24 hours, he really has started to take off. He's got that residual fitness back from Australia at the Caulfield Cup, and the trial that we've seen is very, very good indeed. So he looks to be back to his best. The cut in the ground's perfect. Weight for age conditions suit him down to the ground. So refund second, John Snow, $3.50, and option 1, selection 1 till 5 o'clock tonight.
Well, as always, great to have you on the first call, and thanks so much for your time. And team, what do we think of the special? Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think we sort of said, just give us one that's going to be popular, and I think it will be popular. John Snow, especially when we're hearing from Thea that the money is starting to come for one who will be pretty well off in the rain-affected track conditions, whereas horses such as Darscape Princess and Dan's Dance who are sort of on the second and third lines of betting are probably a little bit risky.
This pool's going to be commingled. The Australian money will come for him. He could go very close to starting favourite, so that's not a bad one at all. Yep. Bets for the weekend, I'm going to see how the track plays, but I really like Terra Sancta now it's firming up at Ellerslie, and that also applies to Starry Beale, who Emily, I know you liked. Really impressive last time, but I'm hoping that's at a 5 to 6 range for both those horses. I'm going against you with Starry Beale. I really like one in the last tomorrow, and I did have a bet on it last night myself, and that being Red Sky at 9. I thought the run at Pukekohe in the last race of the program, when it was a wet day, this horse made its run along the inside. It was definitely the worst part of the track by then, and I thought the run was outstanding. Just looks ready to go for mine. I've been waiting for this horse. I've been pretty keen on it, so I do like it there. Also, Santa Monica, I did make my bet of the weekend. Quizmaster, I'm liking it at a $16 price, and Musical Blues, you just got to forgive that last start run, which was a swoopers race, was on speed. Before that had won really impressively, and you're getting, what, 30 odds for Musical Blues. So I'm happy to have that. I know it's only a 2 each way, but take it as read that it's a decent chance. Portland Jimmy, I've just spoken to the stable this morning. It's not a certain runner, but if it runs, it looks absolutely thrown, and the Waverley run was massive. John Snow, and the horse I've been talking about, enamoured with, Michael, Lincoln Raider, is in the last, and I'm a big fan of this horse. I'm really liking him. So, Em, what are you enamoured with if you were having one bet heading into the weekend? Well, I've gone Starry Beale, and I think I've gone Aotea Lad as well, but the done deal, Lincoln Falls. Can I just, with my heart, can I leave him $1.20? I'm not really leading with my heart, am I? Beaumarchais as well for me, but Starry Beale 100 to win, and Trentham 100 to win Aotea Lad as well. So watch this space. Stu Lang's bets are going to be on the website as well, so we're looking forward to seeing how they go as well.
Make sure you head across to tab.co.nz/the Punters Lounge for all the recaps, replays of this show, amongst a host of other fantastic content. From us, it's a very good morning and best of luck over the weekend.
Nothing can break me down. I'm the man.